Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Whether you're joining us live or on demand, we want to welcome you back to the Mobile App Academy, where we show you how to build mobile apps on the Now platform. My name is Charlie Steiner, Product Marketing Manager here at ServiceNow on the mobile team. And today we'll be walking you through native mobile charts, dashboards, and common configurations. Quickly looking at the chat, thank you all again for joining live. Lovely to see a few of your names that we recognize, and thank you for joining us on this bi-weekly basis. So if you're brand new around here, the Mobile App Academy runs every 2 weeks here on Zoom at 10 a.m. Pacific. You can find that link in our community, and you can find our replays on our YouTube channel, and we'll be linking that in the chat shortly. And if you're brand new to using ServiceNow mobile apps, definitely let us know in the chat. We love getting insight from all of you, whether it's here, whether it's in the community, and our YouTube comments, let us know. We put together these sessions based on your feedback, what you want to learn, what you want to work on, what you're interested in. So get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. And with all that said, the admin over, I'd love to introduce David Ha, our Senior Product Marketing Manager, to get things started. David?
Thanks for the intro, Charlie. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Mobile App Academy. My name is David Ha, and I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow. I want to give a warm welcome to everyone that are here live with us today. So let me go ahead and share my screen really quick, and I can share the agenda for today. Okay, so for today's topic, I will be walking you through native charts and reports that we support for mobile as of Orlando. So we're going to be doing a live building session on how we can create a custom landing page with all the native charts that I would want to see in my day-to-day as a manager. Okay, and within this manager dashboard, we're going to do the following. We're going to focus on the ServiceNow agent app, or the fulfiller use case per se, and we're going to build a custom applet launcher for an ITSM manager persona. And as an ITSM manager persona, I want to build a manager dashboard that provides me a quick native dashboard view of my team's incident backlog and how it's trending over time. And although we are building this on the ServiceNow agent app, just know that any of the concepts learned today can also be applied on Now mobile app as well, or the onboarding app as well. But for today, we will be using the ServiceNow agent app and talk through some of the common things you should consider and best practices when working with native charts and reports. Okay, so that's today's topic. If you are new to mobile, we recommend that you check out some of the resources in our mobile community. There you can find quick links to our mobile implementation guide, as well as our past Mobile App Academy recordings. And those go over the hierarchy and best practices on getting started with your mobile implementation. Understanding hierarchy of our mobile apps is essential whenever you're trying to learn how to customize and deploy your own custom workflows. So highly recommend checking those out and those resources if you are new to mobile. Also a reminder, our mobile app academies will take place on an Orlando instance today. The native charts and reports are supported only on Orlando instances and beyond. And displaying your service portal reports and performance analytics charts, those are still possible in previous releases, but as web views. But as we move on with each release, we are releasing more native capabilities for different types of native charts and reports. And I'll do a deeper dive later during today's session. Okay, with that said, this is a live building session that will last about 50 minutes, and we'll open up to Q&A in the last 10 if we have time. If we do go over, you can also see our recording that we upload to YouTube as well. If you have any questions throughout today's presentation, feel free to send them over in the Q&A section of Zoom. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll circle back and address them. Okay, so with that, let's go and get started on a quick overview of the mobile platform dashboards. So let me do a new share. Okay, so in Orlando, we've introduced a new dashboard template that will be native to mobile. The use case here is, as an agent or a manager, they'll be able to keep track of some of their KPIs or monitor how their backlog is trending over time. And with this first dashboard release, it will have very simple report capabilities. The only reports that we are supporting today for mobile dashboards are single scorecard reports, time series reports, and for performance analytics, if you do have that SKU, the only native PA report we support in Orlando is the latest score PA widget. And just to show you exactly what we're supporting for single scorecard, when you build out your reports on the platform dashboard, that's the single scorecard report that we support. And then for time series, we do support area, line, spline, and step line, but not bar. And then for the latest score PA widget, the type is score and visualization is latest score. So that's the only report that we support natively for PA widgets. Okay, chart sections. So if you're familiar with mobile in New York, we introduced the concept of UI sections on the app launcher. There's going to be a new UI section called chart section that is used to display your reports on mobile. And chart sections, they can be horizontal or vertical. And for a single chart section, here's the important thing. You can display either a single scorecard or a time series, but not on the same UI section. For time series, it has to be displayed as its own chart section and only one per UI section, right? So I can't have two time series on a single UI section. It's going to take up a whole UI section for the time series reports. And then for the single scorecard and latest score PA widgets, you can put as many as you want in a single UI section. If there are more than two horizontally, then it'll force you to scroll left and right. And you can also have them scroll vertically as well. So that's how you display chart sections on your app launcher. And then you have dashboard navigations and drill downs for each of your charts. So for single scorecard reports, you can only navigate from the preview to a list screen of records. So there's only one way to navigate from your single scorecard report. For the latest score PA widget, you can navigate into the details, otherwise known as a chart screen. And I'll kind of talk more about the chart screen in a minute. And then for time series reports, we recommend that you navigate into your chart screen, or what we kind of, the concept of chart screens is detail screen, right? If you build a list applet, you have the list screen and then you have the detail screen. For a time series, you have the preview and then you have the chart screen, which shows you the details of those records. And then once you navigate to your chart screen on your time series, you can then navigate to a list screen of those records as well. And then for the latest score PA widget, you can also put a chart screen, navigate from the preview to the chart screen as well. So those are all the different ways that you can navigate and drill down into your reports. You can only navigate once for the latest score PA widget, once for the single scorecard report, and then you can navigate twice for the time series flow. Okay. And then the very last thing about dashboards, you have this new concept of a chart screen, which you can think of as a detail screen, but for charts. Chart screens are only supported on the latest score PA widgets, as well as the time series reports. And it's another level that you can drill down into the data. There's also a new navigation button that's specifically for the chart screen of a time series. And this navigation allows you to navigate from the chart screen of your time series to that list screen that I was showing earlier. So it goes into the details of this preview and then going into your list applet. Same thing with single scorecard. This goes directly to the list applet. Okay. So that's all the updates and things you can do with your mobile platform dashboards as of Orlando. And we're continuing to improve this and greatly expand our support for more native charts and reports as we move forward into Paris and beyond. Okay, so now that we've covered what's supported for the mobile platform dashboards, let me show you a quick demo of what we're about to build. So let me go and switch my share to, oops, let's get out of this, okay. I'm gonna share a new screen and then you should see my mobile device. All right, so jumping into my ServiceNow agent app, I have a custom applet launcher that shows me a quick snapshot of my team's incident workload and how it trends over time. So top left, you have a preview of our single scorecard, and this shows me the number of my P1 open incidents. If I drill down into this 11 records, I can see additional information on those 11 records. I can see there's 11 records here. And this is the list applet. And if I want to go into the details of that list applet, I can do so. Okay. If I want to take quick actions on it, like reassign this to another teammate, to another assignment group, I would be able to add functions onto this as well. Okay. And then to the right of my latest score, I have the latest score PA widget, which shares the same chart section. And this shows me my incident backlog, and it shows me all of my open incidents for my team. And I can also drill down into that PA widget. And here I can see how my incidents have trended over time. I'd want to ideally see this incident backlog go down. That way, it no longer puts me at risk for my team not being able to complete those incidents within their task SLAs. Okay. And then underneath my PA widget, I have this time series report. And this shows me my instance opened by different technicians. And these technicians are on my team, my network team. And here, if I drill down to it, I can see my 2 team members for Beth and David. I can see that Beth's completed working on 4 instances as of this month. And then David's working on 5. If I want to see those 5 instances, I can drill down into David Liu and see those 5 instances and additional details. Okay, so that's what we're going to build today. And this is the manager dashboard view to show me my incident backlog. Okay, so let's go and get started. Jumping back into my instance. So to get started, we're gonna have to enable a few things here. First, you're gonna have to make sure that your instance is on the Orlando release and beyond. If I check my build details, you can see that I am on the latest Orlando patch. Okay, so this instance is good. And then once you're on the Orlando release, all the plugins that you need to enable the ServiceNow agent app are automatically installed for you. And the only thing that you do need to install is at least one of our out-of-the-box experiences to open up the ServiceNow agent app, right? I need to have one of those experiences enabled. And if I check my plugin list, I should already have the ITSM mobile plugin installed. If you don't have one of these plugins installed, you'll just open up a empty app. That's the reason why you need to have at least one of the experiences installed. Give this a second to load. And although I do have this ITSM plugin installed, I won't be using it today because I will be building a completely custom applet launcher, as you can see on my mobile device. So just to show you that I do have the ITSM mobile plugin installed. And there you can see that I've installed this from the store. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we need to build our mobile dashboard is to make sure that I already have the reports on platform to use, right? So what I'm doing is I'm displaying the platform's reports onto my mobile device. And to display it, I have to make sure I already have the reports, right? So just to show you those reports, and I'll actually build a quick scorecard from scratch, just in case you're not familiar with reports. But if on my left-hand nav, if I look at reports and I do view and run, I created a single scorecard from platform for my P1 instance. I think I called it a single scorecard. What did I call it? Single, maybe P1 instance. Open P1 instance. So this is my single scorecard for it. If I open this report, we can look at the data. It's pointing to the incident table. The type is single scorecard. So if I scroll down, so for the single scorecards, this is the only report that's supported for single score. For time series, as I was showing on the PowerPoint, only area, line, spline, and step line are supported to be able to display this natively. Column is not supported for time series. And then if you're working with PA widgets, right, you would just open up this widgets. Let me show that real quick. And I think I have one for incident backlog. The only visualization and type that is supported for a PA widget is score and then visualization's latest score. The template here does not matter. So you can ignore that. Okay, so just to show you how I can do the end-to-end configuration, let me build a quick single scorecard report real quick. So let's build this from scratch. We'll open up a report. We're going to create new. We'll call this P1 instance, or let's call it high priority instance, open instance. The table is going to be the incident table. And then we'll click next. We do want to create a single scorecard report. And then we'll select next. And then I can build out my query. So I want to see the state of these incidents are new. And the priority is, we'll do critical and high. Is one of critical and high. Okay, so this is my query that's going to be for this report, and then we'll run it, and then you can see there's only 11 incidents here. And then I'll click next. I'm not going to touch any of the different things that you can customize your report. You can actually read into this on product docs if you need more information. But you can change things like the color, the title, and things like that, and the font as well. And then once you're done, we'll go and just click share. We'll click save, and then share. We're going to make sure that share is to everyone. And then we're going to publish this. And then once it's published, Mobile Studio should be able to pick this up from this table. Okay. So now that my instance is on Orlando, I've installed one of the out-of-the-box plugins, and I have the ServiceNow Agent app on my device, and I have a platform report that's ready to use. I'm going to start building out my mobile dashboards. Just to save time, I've already built out the incident backlog as well as the time series report. And just in case you're curious what those look like, let's find those real quick. I already showed you the incident backlog, but let me show you the incident time series. Incident time series by team. For the type, I did select line, and then I set the assignment group to network, because this is for the network team. And that's about it. And then for the configuration, we're trending by opens. So these are all open incidents. And then monthly as well. Okay, so this is my time series report. So now I'm going to display those 3 charts onto my native mobile app for ServiceNow Agent. But we're going to start with a single scorecard. So to build this custom applet launcher, we're going to do what we usually do, is we're going to open up Studio, and we're going to walk through the guided app creator. So we're going to create a new application, scoped application. We'll give this a name. We'll call this, let's just call it dashboards. I don't think this is unique. Oh, it works. Okay. Oh, no, it's not. So let's call this Academy dashboard. So I am logged in as an ITIL manager, and to specify the ITIL manager, I'm going to give it ITIL admin, and then I'm also going to give admin access. We're building a mobile app, and then for the table, we're going to specify instant, and then we're going to start. So this is all simple configurations, right? If you followed our mobile app academies, this should be pretty straightforward. I'm just breezing through this. We'll give it an icon and color. I can review my changes and then click create. Okay, so this guided app creator just helps me quickly create some of the mobile components just to get started. Let's jump into Studio, and then we'll open up our Academy dashboard. So the guided app creator automatically created some applets and app launchers. The only thing that I want is the applet launcher itself. And then I'm actually going to delete the UI section that it gave me. It's just going to show me active instance. So now I'm going to save this. And now I have a applet launcher that I can use. So this is basically a clean slate. Now I can get started with my single scorecard configuration. So the next thing that we're going to do is to get started on our single scorecard is we're going to first create the chart preview, right? The chart preview is kind of like our list applet, where it's the first screen here. And on your Orlando instances, if you're not familiar, this is a new table on Mobile Studio, and you can see it here. I can quickly open up the chart preview. We'll click create new. And then we'll give this a name. We'll give it E1 open incident chart preview. And then for the title, we'll just call this high priority open instance. Right, so I'm kind of just replicating this demo. And then for the type, so when the types for PAs for PA widgets, for the latest score PA widgets. But if it's just for the regular single score and the time series, you're going to want to make sure that type is report. And this is going to look up the platform reports, right? So since we created that single scorecard earlier, I think we called it high priority open instance. And then this jump to screen is how you navigate, which I will cover in a bit. But let's go ahead and just submit this for now. So I've created a single scorecard preview. So now all I have to do is associate it to my applet launcher. So we'll go through the usual steps of creating a UI section on my applet launcher. Let's go ahead and open up my applet launcher. And in case you are completely new to mobile, let me just give you a quick refresher on hierarchy. So let me do another share. Okay, so if I share. Okay, so you should be able to see this mobile hierarchy deck now. Let me maximize the screen. Okay, so going from here, you have the native clients starting with the navigation bar. The navigation bar allows you to build stuff in ServiceNow Agent on the Now mobile app or the onboarding app. Once you specify the client that you want to build inside, you have this navigation bar tabs. And each tab, you can specify it whether to be an applet launcher or an applet. We are specifying a custom applet, one of our tabs to be a custom applet launcher. And then once we build the applet launcher, this is my clean slate landing page, we need to add a UI section so that we can associate our applets to it. So just to give you more visualizations, we're building on the ServiceNow Agent app. This ServiceNow Agent app is going to have a custom navigation tab called Academy Dashboard. And then on this Academy Dashboard applet launcher, we're going to create a new UI section. Right, so these are different UI sections. This is an item section. You can also have icon sections and media sections. All these are old concepts that we've covered on our mobile app academies. But the new UI section is chart sections, which I will create now. So let me go back to my instance. Desktop. Okay. So now you should see my desktop again. We're going to create a new UI section on this custom app launcher. And this is going to be a horizontal UI section so that I can have two single scorecards on it. We'll give this a section name of highlights. This will be a single scorecard type section. So remember, I covered earlier that you can either have a single scorecard or a time series, but you can't have both on one UI section. And it's divvied up that way here. So for single scorecards, it supports regular scorecards as well as PA widgets, which you can have within the same UI section. And then we'll save. Okay. So Let's refresh this applet launcher and open this back up. I should be able to see my preview that we just created. So if I open this up, oh, and there it is. So I think it was just a caching issue. In case you don't see your chart previews here from the selector, just do a refresh or open up the applet launcher again. So now we'll bring this over. This is the single scorecard preview that we just created. And then we'll save. So now I'm going to do a log out and log back in order to refresh and save my changes. Remember, we did create a brand new applet launcher just now. And in order to show your applet launcher, new applet launchers, you have to log out and log back in. So we'll log out real quick and log back in with my credentials. We'll give it a second to load. And now, if I click into the More tab, I now have an Academy dashboard. And this Academy dashboard shows me my single scorecard report. Okay, so I can't click into it yet because I haven't configured the navigations or the list applet for me to navigate to. But before I do that, let's go ahead and configure the PA widget. We're going to configure all of our chart previews before we configure the navigations. So next, we're going to create the latest score PA widget. Let's create another chart preview for that. This will be our incident backlog. Call this incident backlog. Again, the type is going to be PA because this is a PA report. And then the widget, I've already created this ahead of time, but I created a PA widget called incident backlog. And this shows me all of my open incidents. Then I save. Once you create the preview, this initial screen, you just have to associate it back to the UI section. So we'll open up our applet launcher again. You're gonna have to do a reload frame. And then we'll open up our highlights UI section. And then there you'll see your incident backlog. And then if we click save, if I refresh my mobile app, you should see your incident backlog. Okay. And then the last preview that I want to show is for the time series. I did create a time series ahead of time as well, and it's going to be this incident time series by team. So let's create the preview for it. We'll call this open or assigned by technician. And then this is a monthly report. We'll call it assign incidents by technician. Since this is a time series, the type is report. And then we'll click save. Oh, and then I have to specify the report, which is time series, incident, time series by team, and then we'll submit. And now if I do a refresh on the mobile app, I should see my time series report. Oh, whoops. So I did skip a step, right? So I jumped the gun there. I just created my time series chart preview, but remember I have to associate it to my applet launcher in order for it to show up. So we'll open up our applet launcher again. So you're probably wondering, why can't I associate my time series to this highlight UI section? And it's because each UI section, this UI section can only host scorecards. Time series cannot be within the same UI section. So it does need its own UI section. So we're going to create a new one. And we're going to call this time series. The section type is going to be report for time series. And then we'll save. I think it's having a caching issue, so we'll do a reload frame. And then I should be able to see my time series report. We'll bring that over and then we'll click save. Now if I do a refresh on the mobile app, Give it a second to load. And there I can see my time series report. Okay. So now I have my manager dashboard of my highlights. I have my P1 open incidents, all of my incident backlog, and then incidents that are assigned by different team members. But this doesn't quite show me enough information. I want to be able to drill down into these individual instances and also be able to see who are my technicians here. So let's go ahead and configure the navigation stacks. And in order to configure the navigations, they're all different depending on the report. But we're going to first start off with the PA widget. So to configure the PA widget, to get to the next screen, it's what we call a chart screen. If you open up this applet and create a new applet, on Orlando instances, you're going to see a new visualization called chart. This is a new concept, and this acts as your detail screen to go from your preview into the next screen. So let's configure a chart screen for our latest score PA widget. We're going to call this Incident Backlog PA widget. We'll give it an icon and color. And then we'll create new. And then we're going to select the PA widget that we created for this, right? So this is Incident Backlog. Oh, whoops. So I was looking for my Incident Backlog report, but I couldn't quite find it. And the reason for that is because I didn't change the type report to PA widget. So now if I look up Incident Backlog, I should be able to see that report there. Okay. So now if I do a submit, and that creates my chart screen. So now I need to be able to navigate to this chart screen. Remember, this kind of acts like the drill down or the detail screen for my preview. So to navigate there, we're just going to create a navigation function. And then once I create the navigation function, I'm going to associate it to my function instance here on my chart screen. Remember, function instances, these are basically mean function locations. If you're unfamiliar with this concept, we have covered this on previous mobile app academies. Feel free to check those out to better understand how to create functions, how to associate them to screens. And you can also check out product docs as well. Okay, so let's create the navigation function really quickly so that I can navigate from my previous screen to that chart screen that I just created. So we're going to call this navigate to Incident Backlog chart screen. And then this is going to be a global context. So anytime you navigate, make sure the context is global. And then for my destination, it's going to navigate to that Incident Backlog PA widget. And then we'll save. So I did make a mistake in explaining this a second ago. Okay, so going back to my Incident Backlog PA widget. So we're not actually navigating from the chart screen. We're actually navigating from the preview. This is the detail screen. I explained it backwards. So what we actually want to associate this function to is the chart preview. So this Incident Backlog chart preview I have here. And then here is where we want to associate the navigation. So I can go from list screen 1 to list screen 2. So for jump to screen, we called it navigate to Incident Backlog chart screen. So navigate to Incident Backlog chart screen, and then we'll update. So now if I refresh my mobile app, I should be able to navigate to that screen there. So if I click into Incident Backlog, it now shows me the details of that. And as you can see, it's trending upwards. Okay. And this is the as far as you can go for PA widgets. Okay, so the next navigation that I'm going to configure is for my time series. I'm going to go to single scorecard last, just because the configuration here is a little different. So Let's next complete our time series navigation. So to jump to the next screen, we're gonna have to configure another chart screen, right? It's the details for my time series. So let's create that now. We're gonna create a new applet. And we're gonna call this time series chart screen. We'll give it an icon and color. And then we'll select the chart template. And then if I click create new, it's going to ask me what report I want to navigate to. And it's going to be type as report because it's time series. And this will be the time series. What did I call this? Incident time series by team. Okay. So incident time series by team. And then we'll go and click submit. So now that I've created the screen, the chart screen, now I just have to create the navigation for me to navigate from my preview to that chart screen. So let's create the function for it, the navigation function. We'll create new navigation. And this is navigate to incident time series. This is global again. Anytime you configure navigations, they're going to be global context. And then the destination is the chart screen that we just created for the time series, which we called time series chart screen. And then we'll click save. Okay, so just like our single scorecard, we're going to do the same. We're going to associate this navigation back to our preview. So we can navigate from our preview to the chart screen. So let's open up our time series preview. And then this jump to screen is where we associate it. So navigate to time series chart screen, and then we'll click update. So now if I refresh my mobile app, we can now click onto our time series and then see those individual records across different team members. Okay. The next navigation I want to configure is for my single scorecard. So if we quickly review what single scorecards can do, let's show my PowerPoint. Okay, so for the latest score PA widgets, or sorry, the single scorecard report, it can go from the single scorecard to a list applet. In order to get to this list applet, it needs some sort of context so that this report, when this navigation goes to there, it needs to understand what parameters am I passing. And to navigate to this, we introduce a new concept called appended query parameters. And this appended query parameter is used specifically for me to navigate from a single scorecard to a list applet, as well as a chart screen to that list applet, so I can get a further detailed view. So let me configure that now, just so that you can follow along on what I'm doing. So to navigate from my single scorecard to that list applet, we need to create a list applet first, right? So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to first create the data item for my list applet. And we're going to call this single scorecard list applet. Actually, I'm not going to call this. What we're going to do is we're actually going to create a dynamic list applet so that it can be used by both the single scorecard as well as the time series. It's going to understand what the query is for both this report as well as this report and be able to build a dynamic list applet that shows me the records for either this one or to show me the records for whether I drill down from Beth or whether I drill down from David. Okay, so it's a single list applet that can be used for both the time series and the single scorecard. So we're actually going to call this dynamic list applet for reports. And the table is going to be instant, and then we'll click save. And this data item has to be parameterized so that my reports know where it's going to navigate to. So we're going to create a new parameter, and we're going to call this dynamic parameter. And the type we'll leave as string, okay? And then we'll click save. So then we'll just map this parameter. I forgot to change the condition type. So if you look at the condition types, there's a new condition type for appended encoded query. We're going to want to change that to this. And then now I can map my dynamic parameter. So this appended encoded query is used specifically to navigate from your single scorecard to the list applet, as well as the time series chart screen to the list applet. This here, okay? So let's go and click save. And now that I have my appended encoded query data item, now we just have to create the list applet. So let's create a new applet. We'll select list. We'll give it a icon and color. We'll call this dynamic list applet for reports. And this is a list applet. And then we'll click create new. We'll select our data item, which is the data item that we created just earlier. And then we'll bring over some fields. I can change the pattern if I want, but I'll use this standard one. So for E1, let's bring over state. E2 will bring over number. E3 short description. E4 priority. E5, I want to see the assigned to person. First, it's expecting an avatar, so we'll bring over the avatar first. And then we'll bring over the assigned to field. Okay. And then we'll click save. On the form screen, for additional fields, we'll also replicate from primary. And then here's the important part, is mapping our parameters. So in order for this preview to take the queries to append the queries from this preview into the list applet, we're going to do an autofill parameter so that it's autofilling the parameter that you created. So we're going to change the autofill parameter to instance relative URL. And then we'll call this dynamic parameter. So this input type is new as well. And this is used specifically for this use case. So we'll click save here. And now that it's autofilling the query from our platform report into that list applet, now we just have to map it. So we're going to map our data item to the UI parameter. The data item parameter is dynamic. And then the autofill parameter that we just created is also called dynamic. And then we'll save. Okay. So now if I click save, my dynamic list applet is now done. So now all I have to do is configure the navigation to go from my list applet to the dynamic list applet. So let's create a new navigation. Oops. Okay, so create a new navigation. And this is going to navigate from our single scorecard preview to that dynamic list applet. So we're going to call this navigate to dynamic list applet. The context is always global. And then the destination is going to be the dynamic list applet that we created. And then we'll click save. So now that we've configured the navigation, now we just have to associate it back to our preview. So let's open up our single scorecard preview. And then for the jump to screen, we'll associate the navigation called navigate to dynamic list applet. Now if I click update, if I refresh, I should be able to navigate from my single scorecard to these 11 records. Okay, so now I can see the additional details on each one of those records that's open. And if I wanted to add a function that allows me to reassign these open instance, so for example, on my time here, Beth can handle more workload, I could take one of these open instance and reassign that to Beth if I wanted to. Okay. The next navigation that I want to configure is the time series from chart to that list applet. So to go from here and see the 4 records from Beth, or see the 2 records from David. There is a new navigation function specifically for this chart screen. So typically you would think that this is a top menu function, but because this is a completely different screen called chart screen, there is a new function that was created specifically for this screen. And this is going to be the header function, the chart headers function. So let's go ahead and configure that now. I'm going to start by first, I'm going to unassociate this. I don't know why it's currently associated. So let's go ahead and unassociate this just so I can build it really quickly. Chart. Okay. Time series. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to quickly unassociate this function real quick. So this applet is called the incident time series. Okay, and then I'm gonna delete this. Okay, so now if I refresh, I shouldn't actually be able to navigate quite yet. And there you can see the header function disappeared. So now let's actually configure this from scratch so you know what's going on. So to configure this, we're going to, since we've already created the dynamic list applet, all we have to do is now associate, create a navigation function and then associate it to this chart function. So let's first create the navigation. We're going to create a new navigation. And then we're going to call this navigate to dynamic. Oh, you know what? Actually, I don't have to create a second navigation because I've already created one here for the list applet, right? So I've already created a navigate to dynamic list applet. I can just reuse this navigation function. It doesn't make sense for me to create another one. So really the only step that I'm missing here is I have to associate that navigation to this chart section. So if I open up the chart section, which is time series chart screen, there is a function instance belonging to screen. And function instance just means function location. So we're going to create a new record here. We'll give it a second to load. So this is the last step of the navigations that I want to show, and then we'll open up to Q&A right after this. So we're going to change the location to chart screen header. This is a new location for function locations, and this is used specifically for the time series chart, right? This is the detail view of your time series. If I want to navigate to that list applet. I'm going to change the, I'm going to select the chart screen header. And this is to navigate to my dynamic list applet. And then the function is I'm going to select the navigation we created earlier. Just navigate to dynamic list applet. Now, if I click submit, I should be able to refresh my mobile app. And it should show. So let's go ahead and troubleshoot this now. So let's see what's going on. So if I open up my chart screen again, and I check the function instance. So it doesn't look like the record is shown. Let's actually do this on Platform UI just to see what's going on. So we'll open up applets. And then we're going to open up this chart screen that I've created, which is called Instant Time. And then we'll open this up. So I'm expecting that there should be a record on this function instance here. So maybe it's possible that I can't actually do it inside of Mobile Studio, and it's something that I have to do on Platform UI. So let's go and try that now. Let's switch into the scope. Okay. And then if I click cancel, okay, so now I should be able to create a new function instance. Let's try that again from Platform UI. We'll call this navigate to dynamic list applet. The function is going to be navigate to dynamic list applet. The label doesn't matter because it won't show up, but we'll call it the same. Location is the one that does matter. We'll change this to chart screen header. And then we'll click submit. So now if I refresh this mobile app, I should now see that header function. Okay. So it seems like there is, oh, you know what? I actually read this wrong. It looks like when you click function instance new, so maybe it might be a bug on our side. So the workaround is just go to your platform UI and configure it here, and it should work the same. So now I can navigate to my for instance for Beth or into David Liu. Okay. So that pretty much wraps up everything that we support for native reports. We have single scorecards, latest score, PA widgets, and time series. Okay, let's go ahead and open up to Q&A now, if anyone has any questions. Fu, is there any questions that we want to highlight in the chat?
Yeah, I think there's one. It's let's see if I can look that up. Does it work only for reports? Meaning that would append a query will not work for PA? So I mean, does it work only for reports? This chart.
That's correct. So the append query is specifically for the single scorecard, regular single scorecard, as well as the time series. It will not work for the PA widget. Remember, if I show my PowerPoint again, really quickly, these are all the different ways that you can drill down from the latest score PA widget. The PA report, you can only drill down into the chart screen, right, the detail screen. But for the single score, you can navigate directly into the list applet. And the time series as well, you can navigate into the list applet. And anytime you navigate from the chart screen or from the preview into the list applet, it requires that appended query parameter. But here you can see that we don't support that navigation for the latest score PA widget. So that's the reasoning behind it.
Okay. Thanks, David. That's the only thing that's related to dashboards. There were some other questions, but it's related to other, more like roadmaps questions.
Gotcha. Any other questions? And we'll keep it open-ended too. If there's any questions you want to ask, whether it's related to native reports, charts, feel free to ask away. And just to compare to the demo that I showed earlier, the only difference between the dashboard that I created just now and the mobile dashboard was I cleaned it up a little bit, right? I created a media section, I put it at the very top. So now it really looks like, as David as the logged in manager, I have a very customized landing page specifically for my manager persona, right? I can see all the reports that I need to see for my day-to-day, all the open instances, and I can take action on them and drill down into the specific records if I need to. And yeah.
So I have a question, David. Are there plans to add additional charts?
Yep, so definitely. So as of Paris, so we've added a couple new reports. We now support bar charts as well as donut charts. So if I show reports on platform, and then I do view and run, let's open up one of these charts real quick, time series.
David, you're not sharing your screen, by the way.
Oh, am I not sharing my screen? Let me.
Oh, actually, you're sharing, but you're sharing your deck.
Okay. So if I open up platform reports, let me show you a couple other reports that we're supporting as of Paris. So as we move on into future releases, we will support more and more native charts. As of Paris, we will be supporting 2 additional charts. Let me show you the 2 that we do support in Paris. Okay, I changed the type. Okay, so we are supporting donut charts in Paris, as well as bar charts. The limitation for bar charts is we won't support, we aren't supporting horizontal histograms or Paretos. And then for donuts and pies both work, but if you do select pie, it will show up as donut. So that's what we support as of Paris. And I can actually show you a quick demo of those reports real quick as well. Actually, product demo. Actually, that could be for another session, but those are the reports we will support in Paris.
Thanks, David. I think the fact that we're building more features to support charts is awesome.
Yep. Looks like we have another question from Anonymous. The record creation of function instances from Studio was not happening. Is that a real bug? As you created the same from Platform UI and you showed the workaround, will this be fixed in the future? Yeah, so I will follow up on that to figure out what's going on this Orlando instance. It might just be my instance, or maybe it is a current bug, but I will follow up on that. But yeah, ideally, I should be able to open up my chart applet, my chart screen. And this function instance, it looks like once I created it from Platform UI, it showed up. So maybe I was having a caching issue or something, but for some reason when I created it from Studio, it didn't work. So that's odd. But yeah, if there is a bug, we will follow up on it and fix it on a future patch. Okay.
So we have another question. Is it possible to get a deck, this copy of the slide deck, especially the slide that shows hierarchy? Do you want to show them the community site?
Yeah, so let me go and share with you where you can find that mobile hierarchy deck. So if you go to our mobile community site and you do a search for mobile hierarchy, it's going to be that first post. Oh, I spelled hierarchy wrong. You spelled hierarchy right, it should be that first post. And there it is, mobile hierarchy in the Arc Beyond. And then here you can find that deck. Specifically for this chart deck, I can upload this onto community as well. So look forward for that in the next couple days. Okay. If there's no further questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Hope you found that this session was informative and helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to keep posting on our mobile community site as we continue to explore other configurations in future mobile app academy sessions. We will be having another session in 2 weeks, which we will be showing DLP, data loss prevention, as well as mobile branding. Okay, so we'll hope to see you at the next session. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Cheers.